Hello everybody, welcome to this presentation. Today we're Thursday, February 13, 2014. So we have Mr. Lambert, Chairman of the Board of Freja Resources. Mr. Lambert, thank you for coming by.
Thank you for having me.
Excellent. We do have a press release that Freja Resources just released. It's in the document sharing. And you see here on that press release, Freja Resources is clearly breaking out. It's an sampling results that the company just released. So they came in the show, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this and about other aspects also of Freja Resources. So first of all, let's talk about this press release. What was it about? How do you interpret those data?
Right. So the press release that went out this morning are the assay results of an extensive exploration program that took place at our flagship property, Las Cristinas in northern Mexico last year.
Okay.
And we have over 333 results back, and we just announced those this morning.
And how do you see? Are you happy with those results? How do you interpret them?
Yeah, the results that we see today seem to confirm the historical data that we had looked at before we purchased the property in 2013. And it's giving our management team down in Mexico a lot of confidence moving into the next phase, which for us is going to be a drilling program of over 3,000 meters, which should start in March, so in less than a month.
Excellent. Now let's talk of your business model, because that's the thing that struck me when I got your corporate presentation. Can you explain to us what's your business model and how your funding structure makes your company less risky?
Okay, we like to call it hybrid exploration and production. Okay,
explain to us that.
Okay, so the CEO of the company, André Saint-Michel, and myself, when we founded the company in 2012, we set out a business plan that calls for limited dilution to shareholders, and the way to do that is to acquire projects that have significant exploration potential, but that can also be put into production very quickly. And the way we want to go about funding the exploration is through the revenues generated by the property itself and not by dilution to the shareholders.
Okay. So you mentioned generating cash flow. It's a big part of that business model, but you're an exploration company. So how do you intend to generate cash flows this year? Because it's part of your objective of 2014 to generate cash flows. So
that's exact.
So how do you intend to do it?
Okay, so the Las Cristinas project that we have in northern Mexico in Chihuahua state is representative of what we want to do as a business, and that is to acquire projects that are at surface or above surface, and that can be brought into production with low capex and very rapidly. So for that, you need a lot of historical data. In our case, the Las Cristinas produced, it was an old mine in the 70s that it produced. So there's a lot of data available. And the zone that we've targeted for initial production is actually above ground. So there are two little mounds that are about 1.3 kilometers long by about 100 meters wide. And you can see the mineralized structure of where the oxide copper is. And that's where we're going to focus our efforts and go for initial production. And
the press release of today was concerning that region that you just mentioned of 300 meter right?
That is correct. So we systematically sampled channel samples, 333, I believe. They were anywhere from 0.8 of a meter to 1.2 meters long, 3 to 5 kilograms each, and it was systematic sampling of those zones. And we also took some samples to the north and to the south to give us an indication if the mineralized zone was extending. And so far, the results that we've seen make us believe that it does, but we need to go do further exploration in those extensions, which we're going to do as part of our drilling program in March, May, and June of this year.
Okay, so now talking of cash flow neutral, because that's what price, because copper right now is not doing necessarily well. A lot of metals, base metals, have been impacted negatively with China's growth that is showing some signs of slowing down. So at what price of copper would you be okay? Your project will be cash flow neutral. And is cement copper the same price as copper too?
Okay, so the given our proposed cost structure, we see the price of copper now as being fairly healthy for our business plan at $3.20. We estimate that the direct mining costs should be about $1.
Okay.
And then we believe that if we include all of the company's overhead, the exploration program, the NSRs, and all the indirect costs, then the cost becomes about $2. So we still and so that additional dollar of cost is discretionary in nature because we don't have to spend that.
Yeah.
So we believe in the long-term prospects of copper, but we're very comfortable with the current price.
Okay. And with the $1, let's say that with all the costs that you just mentioned, your exploration cost costs $2, and the price of copper is at $3. So that $1, will that be the cash flow that you will use to invest in the company to finance the further exploration campaigns, or
the cash flow that will be used, the cash that's going to be used for exploration is in the dollar that's above the dollar of direct costs.
Okay.
So I include the exploration, and the additional dollar brings us to a total cost of $2.
Okay, I understand. Now, about the drilling campaign that's going to start in March that you just mentioned, do you have the money to fund that exploration campaign?
We have announced 3 types of financings that are currently on the way and expected to close in the next couple of weeks. So we have a $615,000 debt deal, and we've announced $1.1 million of equity deals, and we expect those to close very, very shortly. So that will give us the funds that are necessary not only to carry on the drilling program, but it's going to go a long way helping us set up the heap leach operation, which we intend to do on the property, at the mine site before the end of this year.
Talking of the equity financing, because that's one press release I want to have your opinion about, or to elaborate on it. Tell us the reasons why you favored a share exchange transaction with Global Resources. I know Global Resources is going to be listed on the London Stock Exchange.
That's correct.
So explain to us what was the motive behind this.
Yeah. For us, it's it was introduced to us, and we considered it, and we're doing it as a defensive measure and a way to improve our balance sheet.
Okay.
And it's not something that in the very short term we need to sell. So the shares that we will get from that trust was not something that we need to sell in the short term, because given the fact that our business model is centered around production, we have financing avenues that are not necessarily available to small exploration companies, such as debt, lines of credits eventually, and forward sales of the concentrate. So and the people that have put together this Global Resource Investment Trust in the UK are it's their second such project. They did extremely well last time they did it, and they're people that we wanted to be associated with and do business with.
Okay. Now, talking of because we have La Cayoma plant, and we have the Las Cristinas project. You mentioned that you wanted to bring some of the materials from the plant to the project. Why is that?
Okay, so when we bought the project last year, it came with a lixiviation plant in Koyame, which is about 120K from the mine site. So if we want to produce copper cement, there's a cost to that, and there would be a cost if we decided to transport the concentrate or the minerals to be concentrated at the plant. So it's much less expensive to take the concentrators, the filters, the tanks, and a few other pieces of equipment and move that on site, which we intend to do this summer.
In terms of the permit, do you have all the necessary permits to do so, or are you still waiting for some permits?
We're waiting for the production permit, so we're in the permitting phase right now. And
do you expect the date to receive that?
Well, we should get that by the summer.
By the summer? Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So that we can start building the lixiviation pads and the heap leach operation on site this summer and into the fall.
Build? You mean like to build the the materials, the structure to receive the materials from the La Cristinas.
That's correct. So it consists mainly as to a membrane,
Okay.
and you build some ponds to receive
Okay.
the liquids, which consist of acid. That's right. That's
All right.
it's not a very capex intensive process to do heat bleaching.
Okay. I'm just learning with you. So in terms of schedule, on your corporate presentation, your schedule is well detailed. So far, are you respecting your schedule? Are you on time, or are there some challenges that you have faced while you have been on board?
So far, so good. So we've been lucky that we have been able to meet our timeline. But there's always, you mentioned permitting, so that's something that we do not have control over.
Yeah.
And although we've got great expectations that we can get that in the summer, that could be delayed. But so far, we've got a great team down in Mexico. We've got our CEO, André Saint-Michel, who's a veteran of the industry. He's been in Mexico for 10 years. He lives there. And we were very fortunate to be able to recruit some of the head geologists that he had at prior projects and metallurgy guys. And so we've got a very, very strong team, so very fortunate.
And in terms of business environment in Mexico, how would you describe it? Mexico as an emerging market, a lot of analysts are cheering Mexico is up for reform. So how do you see it for Mexico in terms of the mining sector?
I had not been to Mexico until I got involved in this project, but now I've been there 4 or 5 times. And the first thing that struck me was how modern it was. And I've had to deal with government officials, lawyers, and accountant and tax people, and it's very modern. It's comparable to here, and
even in terms of infrastructures wise for your next year project. Or
well, where we are, yes, because our head office is in Chihuahua City, and it's a 1 million plus population, and a lot of the big mining companies from around the world have an office there, engineering firms, so you can find everything. And talking to government officials, they welcome companies like Freya because we respect their rules, and we want the permits, and where a lot of the smaller operations, especially in our area, there's 10 to 15 small operations that are operated by local people, and they don't always wait to get the permit to do things, where we come in and we'll do things the way the government wants us to do them.
Excellent. Now in terms of generating cash flow, let's say that the worst case scenario happens, the permitting process is delayed. You have the La Cristinas plant. Could that be used as a plant where you could just use ore from other areas to process it and generate cash flow, or is it not in the plan?
At this stage, it's not at that level.
Okay.
However, we intend in early 2015 to upgrade the Coyame plant and make some investments, which could be around $3 to $5 million. So where we could take copper cement and turn it into the final product. So copper at 99%, and some silver and some gold. But we will only build that plant once we have the production at Las Cristinas running efficiently, because we want to make sure that most of the capacity of that plant at Coyame is going to be used by us, and then we can make some capacity available to other small producers in our area.
And when should the production start approximately in Las Cristinas?
We expect to have 2 or 3 months of sale of concentrates in 2014. And then obviously after that on a regular basis 2015 and beyond.
We have only 1 minute left, Mr. Lambert. So an investor is looking at this interview and wants to be convinced why he should is not convinced yet why he should invest in Freya Resources. What will be the 2 reasons that you would give him to convince him that Freya Resources should represent your next investment?
Well, I would say the first one's management, especially our senior people in Mexico, including André Saint-Michel, who's an engineer geologist, masters in project planning. He's run mines his entire life, for the last 30 years. He's had 400 employees at the last mine he was operating. So we have great confidence in him and his team. And the second reason is the business model, which calls for significant exploration program, which is what a lot of the speculative investors look for in a project, but we will fund that internally, so we will not have to go back to the shareholders and say, you know, we need $3 million to do holes in the ground. We'll self-generate that, and that will give a consistent exploration program next year, which will generate news on a regular basis.
Okay, excellent. So I wish you good luck then for your project and also for your drilling campaign, and we'll definitely look forward to have you back on the show to update us on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.